Hello and welcome on back. Sorry, I couldn't stay away from long. I was about to make a Python video. No, it wasn't. I was just taking a break, eating some lunch and eating some food, or yeah, eating some lunch, watching some TV. And wouldn't you know, so I'm watching Gravity Falls right now on the Disney Plus. So just to kind of like explain, like these are where I'm getting these ideas. This is why I think this way, and this is what I think can help. I mean, basically, with all of these projects, um, ah. And we did not, but I mean, I like that intro. So while I'm adding my alarm clock, um, basically, I'll just explain that. Yeah, 2:54. That's good. So what is it today? 2:54. Um, Anyways, no, basically, like our elections, our politics, our government, our very control structure that we have in my opinion, the most powerful country in the world. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case forever, but I think it is still the case right now, and that's not for a good reason or bad reason. It's just it is like, we've got the most nukes, we've got it, and so that's something to kind of understand with other people. Like, it's not that they want guns; it's they want the bargaining power that comes with being able to own guns. So even if you don't have a gun, just the idea that you could be carrying a gun is usually enough to like deter undesired behavior. However, when push comes to shove and like the guns really become involved, same with nukes. So we have the nukes. We're never going to use the nukes. Like, I mean, we never want to use the nukes. No one wants us to use the nukes, but we have that bargaining power. So it's like ultimately the US says goes. And that's how it's been. And I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying I want it that way, and I'm not saying we want it that way. Like the average person in America doesn't want to be holding their finger over the button. Like, in fact, we joke about that, like, or we talk about it like that. Like, do you really want to elect this person to be having the power of their finger over the button? And the answer is no, absolutely not. Like, that's why Trump was such a whole, like, I mean, because he was so businessy, I guess is a way to put it. Like, his way of solving problems exists in the world of business. Now, if you're going to try to do those problem or solutions and apply those to politics, that's risky. I mean, it's risky, but then again, like, isn't that like what our country is built off of? That's what we're constantly telling our people and everything. Also, now, just want to point out, so I put this up there, this line of that shrubbery, but now it's like blending in because there's so many trees. They're all still popping up. Like, and I've been like going through and like cutting them down. But anyways, no, we're gonna add some dirt. But I wanted to make another one of these videos to point exactly that, like the very important part. Um, Also, sorry, a quick aside, and I hate to do this because like I want to encourage people to comment on my videos, but I think it's kind of funny because I posted a Fortnite video. I don't play a lot of Fortnite, but I have a video where I got a double crown victory royale on the first try, but I had to be quiet because my kids were sleeping and I was playing as my daughter's character. So, so not trying to diss, not trying to make fun of anybody, but it's just like, because I think they were poking fun of me. They're like, nice job, like, good job on third. Like, just poking, like, okay, that's good. And that's fair because it's like YouTube is meant for like the best. Like, we got to get the best videos and stuff. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, I just shared a video of some playing. It wasn't great. Third, and maybe they were being genuine. Like, maybe they were like, maybe they were being serious. Like, good job on third. And like, or maybe, because there is a thing, and I love to see it like with YouTubers and their viewers of like encouraging people that aren't all that good at the game. Like there's a lot of videos out there, and I do watch a lot of YouTube. My whole family does, but like it's really encouraging because they're like trying to like, oh, see, there's a wolf. Uh, I mean, that's fine. The wolf's off killing things here, but and you don't want to like, I don't like killing wolves, but don't go attack my llamas. Anyways, they won't. Like the wolf will despawn as soon as we leave, most likely. But anyways, no. And I just thought it was funny because, and he's right. It's a 30-minute video of me playing Fortnite, talking, and it wasn't that good. It was pretty bad. Like I got third on one, and so that was fine. And it was intense too. And so I think they could have been like honestly genuine, but trust me, there is better. Like, and not saying I'm like some god at Fortnite. Again, I'm a normal person. Like I have good days and I have bad days. I've been playing video games since, let's see, 97. I want to say is around when I got the Nintendo. So we're talking, geez, 30 years almost. 30 years. Like that's twice as old as a lot of the people that are in, you know, high school now, like, or college now, like, almost. No, I'm just saying. So like 3 decades of gaming, basically. So my knowledge, my training, I've trained on the regular Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo GameCube, the Sega Genesis, not the PlayStation 1. I don't think I've ever played that. That was for rich, fancy folks I could afford. And even there, I'm just kidding, because like they weren't any fancier or richer than me. Their parents chose the Sony. Like there was real camps, and then Microsoft came out later, and Xbox, and I splurged and I got an Xbox and I was getting a GameCube. So I had both. I had two gaming systems, and that was exciting for me. I was like, holy cow! And now I've got a Switch, PS5, a PS4. Um, I want to get an Xbox, but I probably won't because I'm not that wealthy yet. But I mean, I probably will. And that's the other thing too. So like once I get to that point, like I am definitely loyal to like Xbox did a lot of really cool things. They had a really great gaming system. And now I think Microsoft owns them, but like for a while there they were their own company. And then Bungie, like the whole Destiny thing. I play Destiny on PlayStation, but the company Bungie made Halo, which was like the epic game that my friends and I played for Xbox. Like super epic. Like it was the Fortnite of the time. Like we played that for days and we would fight each other. Oops. Oh, I was just worried that was gonna flood, but I guess we're one higher than the water level, so it's all right. But anyways, no, just to kind of explain, and we used to play the games of GoldenEye, and we learned the little tips and tricks to try to cheat, like try to and you could cheat too because like unless you made like a cardboard box to keep the people from looking at the other screen, like because we all played on the same TV because we couldn't afford more than one TV. Are you crazy? Like, jeez, one TV costs. Oh, so I used to work, all through high school I worked, and I bought my own TV and I bought my own Xbox and I got presents for some of the stuff, but really, and I felt bad asking because my parents really didn't have the money for this stuff. They were already kind of struggling, so it was like, I didn't want to ask them for a brand new gaming console, so I did it. I went out and I got the money, but I had to know that, and see, that's a common misconception with like, and with kids too. I avoid a lot of unpleasant conversations with my kids saying, "Hey, we can't get that," but why? We can't afford it right now. And I'm just blunt with them. I'm just like, that is a neat thing. Or if there's another reason, I'll explain why. Like the claw game. Whenever we go to Walmart, there's a claw game in the Walmarts, and it is a scam. Now, it's a scam in the sense that you can win it. The chances of winning, it's a carnival game. Like, and anybody who's been to a carnival or had the privilege of going to a carnival or had the displeasure of going to a carnival, whatever. If you have the experience of going to a carnival, you know that carnivals have some pretty sketchy games because you want to talk finite resources and then trying to make money. They're dealing with very finite resources and very finite skills. Like they're engineers to like make their roller coaster rides and stuff. It's just whoever they have. Like, they can hire maybe one educated engineer and then they have to fix everything. And that's like, it's just insane. And it's kind of funny because it is like India saying that they want to try to get into the AI market when, and not saying anything against India. I'm not saying, like anything mean. I'm just saying like it's a similar concept. So, people with more finite resources or more limited resources tends to come up with a product or a process that is similar to a carnival compared to a theme park. So if you go to a Six Flags Elitch Gardens, they have the resources to hire multiple engineers. They have the resources to have safety staff and do tests and all of this stuff, all of this very important life and death stuff. And that's why emotions need to be checked at the door when discussing certain things. Now, I don't like to leave it right there. Like, say you have an unfavorable answer. Okay, so you found out some bad news. India can't really get into the AI market per se, or at least not as they're trying to. Now, what they can do is they can pool their resources together because I know that the wealth of India exists to where they could have, just as much money and funding and hire just as many engineers, and they have the talent too. So they do have a lot of educated people over there. So right there, that's one of the biggest expenses. So yes, the answer would be no, you cannot compete as you are. You need to change and then try again. And that's like basically in a nutshell a message from a machine. Hey, that didn't work. You need to change it and try again. Like that's an error. That's a bug. That's and to learn computer science, one must bang their head against a wall for several days at a time or get a bad grade and fail the class and then have to try to retake that class again. All because you can't get the program to work. And that's why there's such big aha moments because there's so much writing on it. I mean, this is code that's going to take a ship to the moon or model a pandemic or, it has to be precise. It has to work. It has to be like lives depend on it. Now, and that's another really quick aside. Like, I don't care what you think about the vaccines, like the data and everything, like you can't argue with the numbers. Now, you could argue that it's being presented in a nefarious way, but even then, like that's easy to prove or disprove. Also, notice like the color changes as I'm harvesting these. I didn't notice that. Like it's a bluegrass, but it's coming out green because it's green when it's stored. Because they don't have varying colors of grass in the stored state, but they do have varying colors of grass in the world state where it's deployed. Also, there's a wolf up there killing more things. They're pretty violent, aren't they? Aren't you? I wish I had some bones. I'd try to capture, or try to tame it. And see right there, that's like, oh, what a cute little fella. I want to kidnap you, capture you, and take you back to my house. Like, okay, human nature, but that's because I understand this is a video game. And now, slavery stuff, they didn't understand because that was not a video game. That was some hard decisions made by people. Not saying it was right. So God no. But what I'm saying is like these are people that did this. This wasn't some devil. This wasn't some boogeyman. And it can happen again. That's the dangerous thing. Is like, we took advantage of an entire like group of people and we continued to just kind of like put band-aids on it, rather than address the root issue. So those were some, not the best solutions to some problems. Now we had some problems. We had, people were dying, people were starving. It was a life or death situation for us. We needed workers. We needed skilled labor. We needed all of these things that we relied on when we were English, when we were British. We had all these structures in place because of all of the investment and time they put into it. So, and it's the age-old tale, like, kids leaving the parents' home. Like, oh, I think I can do things better than you. And maybe they can, honestly. Like, they're learning the tools. So you got to kind of trust them to a point. But then you also got to explain to them, you do have more tools than I had, but you don't have the wisdom that I learned. And I learned this wisdom because of the lack of tools that I had or the correct tools that I had. Depends. I mean, it really could be either way. But my point being is, and that's why creating an AI is so hard, because you would need to make a legit human brain, you would need to have every last single memory and how that memory is affected. But then to make it really human, because that's how you make it superhuman. That's how you make a dangerous AI. So right there, like, I mean, everybody put the knife down, put the screwdriver down. Before you do this, here's your warning. Like, if you're going to design an AI in the way that I think you're going to design an AI, you're going to design a God AI, and that's how you can design Starlink. Oh, wait, sorry, Skynet. I'm just kidding. But it is a creepy, eerie similarity. So, to create an AI, a human brain, the way that we like, the way that you would think that you'd want it, to truly create a life, you need to be careful because there's also the deterioration aspect. You need to actually account for the rot, account for the injuries, the damage. So really, you kind of need to like reverse engineer a brain, like take one, unbuild it, and then rebuild it. And which was probably something like one of those crazy experiments in the Nazi days, where they like probably took someone's real brain and tried to mess with it, while they were like, I shudder to think. And then we do it with animals, so yeah, there's still some ugly stuff going on, but how do you think anything gets discovered? Like, I mean, without human trials and without animal trials, it's unknown. So, well, actually, let me take that back, but walk that back a little bit. There's always going to be trials. It just depends on whether you're going to be the trial or you make the trial. Because, like, if you don't test it, then it's going to be tested in production. And that is very profound. Like, and that's what you need to be careful of, is if you neglect to test something, it's going to come out in production. Like, if there's a bug or if it crashes, then everybody's going to see it crash, and then you got to start doing damage control. Like, what else crashed because of this thing crashing? Like, what else was connected to this or dependent on it within the system or the network? So, yeah, all that was quite a bit there. Let's see, are we even, even as I joke and say things, like, I always have to check and make sure that I'm still recording or that I have sound, because I'm really upset about that. I know I only sat there and I made a half-hour video, but like I really thought hard on that, and like, it was an honest, good piece of work, and Now it doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, it just doesn't have sound. So that creates another problem. So it's a solution, right? It's a learning material that's free, but it costs time. Same with listening to these things. Like the people that do stick it out and listen to all these things, they're just going to be like the next Karate Kid or something. They're going to be able to just like go do whatever. Because I talk about everything. You know, even weightlifting. Like we'll get into that a little bit because that is part of it. I mean, the wax on, wax off is very real. Ooh, look at that. We have like a full. Wait. Hmm. I think I'd rather have a stack of cobblestone than a single piece of gravel, but and again, that's because this is all simulated. These are all fake. Like I can, come and go as I please, use up whatever resources I want, destroy the land, create a new world. Like this is a perfect test environment. Now, we should have test environments of the real world, very realistic, so then we could test without actually worrying about it. And I think like that's where we're really getting to, because even studying medicine. Sorry, that was a little doom and gloom. Let's have a little optimistic part. So Dracula Dead and Loving It. The guy that's showing them human anatomy by using a dead body. It's pulling out pieces of the person and making people faint and vomit and like freak out. And naturally so. It's not in our code, our programming, to be able to see a dead body and be okay with that. Be like, that's not right. Like, that's the epitome of that's not right. And that's why it's so traumatic. That's why PTSD happens. Our brains break when we see a dead body because it's like we don't know how to process that. And it's all too much too fast. Now, imagine going to war like a lot of our direct ancestors did. So this is more relevant to us than slavery. Let's just put a frame of reference there. So we have ancestors that went and fought wars, and depending on what your family is like, if it's poor or if it's wealthy, your family probably lost somebody in the war. Now, I say that because even if you enlist in the war, you think they're going to let the kid of the ruler die? Like, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. They're going to have the best equipment, the best things, whether they want it or not. They didn't, and then we have all these movies that say things like, well, I didn't ask for this, but it's like, but you are the king. And, it's like, so that's why I love it. Like Bollywood is over there, like churning out movies just as fast as we've been churning out movies. And it's like, and for good reason, because that's the new holy books. Even if you consider them holy or not, they're the new educational guides, the guide to humanity, the guides to like, hey, this might happen if you do this, or if you do this, this might happen. So, very important stuff. Like, it's basically the manual for humans. Again, not trying to sound like some alien or something. Like, I'm a person. I am human. No, just kidding. Oh, and then the gravity falls. Sorry, the reason that is just so. Let's see. Yeah, let's do it. No, let's not do it. That looks stupid. Let's do this. Because, I mean, a little variation, okay, but like a single thing, that just looks lazy. Because then that creates like a little thing, and then you're going to fall into it and go in. But then again, like natural Earth isn't. So if you're trying to make it look natural, then there's an argument for keeping it. Anyways, back to the Gravity Falls thing. They're doing an election episode and poking fun at how ridiculous even our own elections are. Um, Yeah, in a nutshell, in a summary, in a synopsis, something easily understandable, and replicable. They were saying, what were the key points? So they've got, without spoilers, like you should go watch Gravity Falls, but I am going to do some spoilers here. So we got Gideon in jail controlling his dad, trying to make his dad run for one of the positions, and then Grunkle Stan is running, and he was being controlled by, Mabel, Dipper and Mabel, which even like the names, if you say them really fast, it's almost like Cain and Abel, like Dipper and Mabel, but then like, so they're trying to blur lines between religion and like things that are common for other people to learn from. And then that builds like a foundation of trust to like, oh, that's kind of like this, or then it's relatable. So then it's all marketing, it's all business, it's understanding people to sell them something, sell them an idea, sell them a product, whatever it is. That's why I hate business, because it's like, I just get tired of it, because a lot of it is social engineering. A lot of it is human manipulation. That's why everybody gets tired of sales. Like, nobody says to themselves and wakes up like, hey, I want to go be a used car salesman. You know? But even when they do, or maybe they do because they want to actually help people. And I can see that. Oh, this is the eye, isn't it? So we need to leave the diorite. Oops. And we did. If anything, we should maybe add some diorite. Okay. Anyway, sorry. It's funny because if you watch the South Park episode on voting and then you watch the Gravity Falls episode on voting, you pretty much understand American politics in a nutshell. Like that is American politics. Like that's it. It's a decision between a mascot, which, you know, not to be too vulgar on this one, but yeah, it's just between two mascots. We'll leave it at that because it is two vulgar things that you can say in South Park, but I'd rather not in case like kiddos are watching this and stuff. But still, and kiddos are gonna watch South Park. So these are the things we're gotta understand. Like as because kids are gonna find out, and that was the other thing too. Is like, our parents thought they were sneaky or whatever, but as when I was a kid, we learned so much, and we had so much access to, like, we had the computers, we had the passwords, we had the, like, I mean, we had already broken in, like, I don't know, like everyone I know, and I watch for my own kids doing it. I've caught them like trying to figure out passwords and things. So I just tell them, I'm like, here's this, here's that, and here's why you can and cannot do that. And so like paying for things, I squash that right away. They know how to buy something on Fortnite and stuff, and they know how to buy, like they know how to get V-Bucks. So I taught them how to get V-Bucks, and then I showed them how I know if they ever try to get V-Bucks with my money. It sends me an alert. Like, same with like, okay, so now I'm uploading that other Fortnite video, and I have between now and then to set up multi-factor authentication, because it says the key on the video. Oh, and it drives me crazy. So, I mean, if you have the key and you don't set up multi-factor authentication, which is dumb, because I want to say that it's still private, and actually I'm going to see if I can edit that out, because when I was watching it, so anyways, and I'm sharing this with you right now, so anyone who's like trying to hack me, like, you know, please don't. I mean, this is me asking you, telling you not to. I never give my permission to hack me. I never have, never will. Like, please don't. It is undesired behavior. And not only am I not going to like it, you're going to get arrested. Because not only am I monitoring my stuff, I have very important people monitoring my stuff. It's called a honeypot. And I'm telling you now that my channel is a honeypot. Okay, there you go. So anybody that actually watches my stuff, they're not going to go to jail if they try to hack my stuff. Anybody that didn't watch that last part, they tried to hack my stuff, well, maybe not jail, but whatever your country's punishment is for cybercrime. So, and then if you get extradited, if it gets serious enough, like say somebody that does have security access gets hacked, oh, then it gets another level. Then you're talking about federal charges. You could be prisoned for like 10, 20 years for doing that. And see, that's the other thing too. A lot of people don't understand the consequences of cybercrime, so then they'll try to do them. But I mean, first off, if you try to hack someone else's account, the first thing that happens is you get banned from Fortnite. It's a zero tolerance policy. They delete your account. Like, yeah, and same with like cheating. Like, because if you're trying to like, I don't know. And that's kind of the funny thing. So a lapse of security, like this person said, good job. And probably were wishing me good job and earnestly. And I'm going to like the comment either way. But then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, haha. Here's one with me getting a Crown Royale. Like, but then I don't want to sound pompous in the other way too. See, there's the thing is like, and this is why it takes me so long to like speak and say things like, so I'm always worried about like, how is this going to be received? And a lot of people don't have to worry about that. Like the people that just have the doors open for them and, like they don't have to worry about things like they don't understand. It's the prince and the pauper concept. And that's why we shouldn't have any wealthy people in government. Like, period. And you shouldn't become wealthy from being in government. Period. Like, so these things that we feel like are common sense, we're still kind of working on. You got Pelosi's insider trading thing. You got, Trump being a billionaire just because he did nothing. Like he was born. And then, like, and see, and when you say it like that, it's ridiculous. Like, granted, that's every politician too. And so that's immediately like what my buddies would say when I start talking about Trump that way. It's like, well, yeah, but Biden's just like that too. And he's right. They're right. Biden had a book deal because I looked into it. I was like, why is Biden so wealthy? Now, one, the politician's salary. So right there, we should be putting stipulations like you can't be a politician if you've already been a politician. Like term limits. We talk about these things all the time. Yeah, it's all a big, let's see. How's the face string? I can't see because the marker's like right on it. Yeah, I don't know. And I think that's also like why it takes me so long to go do a Python video because I've already been there, done that, and it's kind of boring for me now. Like, I mean, it's exciting to teach, don't get me wrong, but I've also already made educational videos and there's a bunch out there. So if I'm going to do really good, like something worthy, I don't know. It's like coming up with a new product. Like now we have new education. You can learn computer science while watching Minecraft. No. Then it's like hokey and sweepstakes and that's why I love Gorillaz. They have that song Sweepstakes. And it's just a big like thumb in your nose at modern society, quote unquote modern society, where we're so desperate to believe that, we can win it big that we will go spend all of our money. That's the sad thing. That's why like I didn't like living in Nevada because I picked up on that right away. Like all I had to do was have someone say, "Oh yeah, the house always wins." I was like, "Okay, then why do people do? Why do people gamble?" And then they're like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, but the house always wins. And so and then so people start to not trust that the house always wins. So they're like, "Oh, well maybe it'll happen." And then it does happen. So right there, and again, you would know these things if you watch like the Goodfellas and Casino and like all of these like gangster movies that deal with casinos because it is an intricate look at the inner workings of gambling and manipulating, and that's social engineering in itself. And here's how. It's manipulating our impulses to have a reward system. Let's see, do I want to? Yeah. I was just looking, my shovel's getting a little beat, but I did just get a ton of dirt. So we're at least going to clear this. I'm going to make this all flat. I like it kind of more level. Like, it's cool having the little bumps and everything, but enough is enough. And then you get these little rivers, which is actually how it does happen in real life. Like, softer materials tend to decay or erode or go away, basically, leaving cracks. Or like the Grand Canyon was formed from a river. A river in a lot of time, like slowly wound its way through that canyon because the materials, the rock, the earth there was softer than other areas, so a river could do that. And a lot of that is because that area is a bunch of sedimentary rocks like sandstone and um, sorry, that's stone formed from sediments being left behind. So it's almost like petrified wood, but that's like wood being replaced by minerals. And in fact, my son found a piece of petrified wood, and we had a good old discussion about that, so that was cool. Um, but yeah, but then you start thinking about the people that don't get to talk to their kids, the people in prison, the dead people, you know, the kind of macabre reason that I wanted to make this memorial island because my friend, so, and my dad, and my other friends, and my two ex-girlfriends, and like all these things. I've had a lot of people die, and it's a bit much. And I can't even imagine the people that are having people die right now. It's like, you know, but that's the other thing too. Don't think for a second that I haven't lost somebody, and don't think for a second that anybody hasn't lost somebody, because that's everybody. I mean, that's why I get kind of sick about this whole Ukraine thing. It's like, I get it, we're desperate, we need to do the things, and like do the thing, and then, but then people get mad at each other for thinking about one way or the other, and that's where I just draw the line. It's like, no, come on now, like, let's be real about this, and they can't help it. Oh, sorry. The whole point of that is we need to ban money from campaigning. And a lot of people are going to hate that because that creates jobs. Like every campaign, if you work for so-and-so's campaign, then you have money for that time period. You have purpose. Like somebody is paying you to do something, paying you well probably too. But then that's why you need to watch The House of Cards. And that's why it was so popular, is because that's an inner look at like how seedy and corrupt, like, okay, but you can't do that if you don't have Netflix, and you can't, so then you have to have these services, and Netflix is clamping down right now. And again, mind you, my family's been a Netflix customer since the days of the disc, and it's funny that they don't see that and they don't let like our things slide. So I use my mom's Netflix and she uses my Disney Plus. Like there, we'll just say that. But granted, I've had to live with my mom on and off because of situations like, having kids too young, like um, a checkered background, or having a harder time finding a job, or being older because I took a year off. So right there, like that actually gained me access to places and restricted access to places, actually. Being a little older, taking a gap year before going to college. And I also had to work. Like I was still saving up money to pay for college, mind you, all this time. It wasn't I was like taking a year off to go like party and sleep. Like, no. I had my own trailer, I worked construction, and I was living. Oh, wait, I need some torches. I was living as someone would be living without planning to go to college, because nobody gets a free ride. And that's the biggest thing that we all need to understand. There you go. So there's the alarm. But so my point is watch Gravity Falls, watch House of Cards, watch South Park, and then you'll understand why a lot of Coloradans think the way they do. It's because we're very proud of our South Park heritage. And our South Park heritage, literally, they have an episode where it's about killing the natives, but then it's translated to killing the white trash people. And it's actually the natives killing the white trash people by giving them SARS. But it's just like you get that forced compassion for natives. And right there, that one episode of South Park. Let's finish this thought, and then we'll go ahead and cut it. But you need to watch the South Park, all of South Park, or the first 8 seasons at least, or it should be mandatory for everyone, about middle school age. That's about the time that, or middle school to high school, because really, and that was when I learned it, honestly. I was watching it in middle school, and it was making so much sense. And it was because I was watching these things like George Carlin or Monty Python, or all of these comedians. Like they were the gestures, they were the meek, they were the entertainers, but now they're the storytellers, the logic thinkers, the advisors, like the people that have it all together and can think it through. Like Rodney Dangerfield, no respect, makes no sense. Like he would just simplify things, bada bing, bada boom, and then you'd understand it. And then like, okay, you start talking like that, you think mobster, gangster. Well, okay, let's talk about that. The mobster, the gangster had to solve problems that normal people didn't have to solve, like life and death problems. They were at war. Like, what are you supposed to do? That's why I like the Goodfellas, because it's like an autobiography. It's like a sociology piece from a mobster, like a look inside the thinking of a mobster. And there you go. And then that makes sense. You're like, oh, okay, I see. I mean, it's still bad. Like, he still needs to go to jail because he killed some people, but I get it now. It's a form of control, no different than the Catholic Church or the Mormon Church or the US government, the Chinese government, the Russian government, the Brazilian government, the Indian government. They're all a bunch of mobsters. I'm just kidding. But that's what happens when you're trying to be a boss over a leader, or if you have to lead in situations of life and death, especially in places where it's illegal, because then you have a whole nother dimension of issues to solve or problems. Anyways, I'll sign off on that. Talk to you later. Ta-ta.